Hey everybody, it's Seabullet here, and today we're going to be looking at a skin that goes by the name of Pip Boy 3000. Let's get started. Beginning with the song selection screen, I have to say I'm very impressed. Before I start throwing out the pros, I'm just going to list my only con. The back button, modes, mods, random, and options buttons all change thickness, ruining the straight line in the very top of the user bar. The menu button background, along with many other elements in the skin, has a very nice effect trying to replicate the lines on a CRT screen, and it does so pretty well. It fits the theme of a Pip Boy while being aesthetically pleasing, which is really the only objective of this skin. Going back to the user bar, the user's player info is completely unobstructed, which is nice, but I think that the CRT lines would have been okay to have over this section if done at a low opacity. The Nuka-Cola symbol to the right of the user info probably could have been used better elsewhere, but it does fit the theme and is a good compromise for the otherwise empty space. The modes, mods, random, and options buttons are all very pleasant to look at, with everything other than the mode button having Vault Boy represent them. It does so very well for the mods and random buttons, but the options button doesn't really have any sort of explanation for it. This isn't really at the fault of the skinner, however, as Vault Boy probably doesn't have any decent poses for something like options. The modes menu is fully skinned, as are the small mode icons. The mods for this skin are all very nicely put together, each of them having their own Vault Boy representing what they do, accompanied by the abbreviated names of the mods they represent. The Vault Boys, for the most part, very accurately represent their purpose, the only questionable ones being Autopilot and Score V2, but honestly, how are you meant to find a Vault Boy that fits those descriptions? While the mods could very well be my favorite part of the skin, their spot is taken by the ranking screen, which we'll now be moving on to. This is one of the best themed ranking panels I've ever seen. Everything that appears on the screen fits the theme very well, and there's even a nice change to the ranking graph depending on whether or not you've FC'd the song. If it's not an FC, the graph shows an image of a damaged, beaten up status Vault Boy, which in the Fallout games represents your character's health and well-being. If you've FC'd, it shows a Vault Boy giving you the thumbs up, with some text saying FC. The ranking letters, while not fitting the general color palette of the skin, still manage to not look too out of place by using the other colors featured in the Fallout UI options. The 300, 100, 50, and miss icons all show a different Vault Boy in varying states of health, worsening depending on what it's representing. The ranking panel itself manages to display everything with perfect visibility while also not fully obstructing the map's background, which is something I always appreciate in a skin. The watch replay and retry buttons are nicely sized and are also fully visible because of this, something that other skins tend to neglect. Now this should go without saying, but the skin is quite obviously not a gameplay based skin. Despite this fact, gameplay with the skin is not too bad. I personally play with no follow lines, no hit circle numbers, and no slider ends on my skins, yet I found myself having no troubles while using this skin. The key input overlay is somewhat lackluster. I feel as though more could have been done with it, maybe make it look like a selection tab in the Pip Boy like in the Fallout games. The health bar stays out of the way and is easily visible out of the corner of your eye, and it matches the health bar in the Fallout games. The hit circles are fairly normal, transparent centers with a semi-transparent border. They also have CRT lines on them, but I don't feel like they were entirely necessary or even look good when used here. The cursor makes itself stand out with a white center and a green outer glow. The score and combo numbers are skinned the same as the numbers elsewhere in the skin, but since they don't have any background, they come off as slightly blurry. The pause and fail screens are gorgeous. They use a modified version of the Pip Boy menu seen in the Fallout games, and it does so very well. Instead of the usual stuff listed at the top of the Pip Boy menu, it shows BPM, approach rate, circle size, and map length. Unfortunately, due to limitations with skinning, this isn't possible to actually sync up to the map you're playing. To make up for this, he's distorted them instead of actually displaying numbers. The continue, retry, and back to menu buttons take place of what would otherwise be items in your inventory. The fail screen is a grayed out version of the same screen, but with a dead Vault Boy. A moment of silence, please.
In the arms of
The spinner is a rad symbol with a broken circle outline as the approach circle. A nice, but subtle touch. For the song selection, the skin gets a 4.5 out of 5. Outside of the odd line thickness and consistency on the user bar, this song selection does everything it needs to perfectly. It's functional and good looking. For the ranking screen, a 5 out of 5. Everything about this ranking screen functions perfectly and never failed to raise my eyebrows or make me chuckle. This is easily one of the best ranking screens I've ever had the pleasure of looking at. For the gameplay, a 3.5 out of 5. While the skin is clearly not designed for gameplay, it's still completely viable for it. The only reading problems I had with the skin arose when I focused too much on the follow lines, but that's just a personal thing. Overall, the skin has earned a 4.5 out of 5. To me, the skin comes off as eye candy. What do you think of this skin? What do you think of this review? Do you disagree with my rating? Let us know using the poll in the top right of your screen or in the comment section below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, or leave a dislike if you didn't. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for another review.